Strong possibility your guys at 8, Carolina. They're in love with Jaycee Horn.
Oh, jerks. Well, hopefully they trade down then.
Yeah.
Hopefully they bail.
They're talking about there's a couple of things with Carolina right now. If they stand there and pick, it sounds like that they will take Jaycee Horn. If they move back, well, all bets are off. We'll see what happens. We'll see if someone's coming up there for something, maybe one of those quarterbacks or whatever. But I was, before I went on the air today, I had someone call me and say, listen, and I actually got it confirmed a couple of different ways on that. I said, hey, I'm hearing about Carolina, and my guy's like, no. I'll say this: the Cowboys are aware of what's going on at Carolina at 8 too. They understand that because they're in the mix for this Jaycee.
We'll be okay. We're gonna be okay. It's a top 10 pick. No matter what scenario you draw up, something good is available for you at 10. But that is one of my favorite guys.
That gets me excited because could Surtain go to Denver at 9?
If that's he absolutely could.
They could take Parsons. They could trade. They could take a quarterback. Denver's one of the wild cards, I think.
Yes.
That's chaos right there if both corners are gone, isn't
it? Fun chaos, though.
Yeah.
Which offensive player are we taking, baby?
Well,
no, it's going to drive us to Micah Parsons, Gavin.
That very well, that's the problem you run into, General, is the linebacker thing that we were talking about earlier in the program. Could it be that, hey, we got the grade that's too high on, we need defensive help. Do we want to extend Leighton Vander Esch? We'll see. But I think that's the thing that would drive. If they lost both corners, I think they would take Micah Parsons.
Okay.
I do. But
you don't have to say that out loud, though, because that puts it into the universe.
I said it with a soft voice.
Yeah, but the whole universe is connected. And by you doing that, you're putting it into the universe.
I could be really wrong.
Yeah.
I could be really wrung about that.
Well, the flip side of the Micah Parsons thing where we pretend it's the worst thing ever is that he could end up just living up to his potential and going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
He's incredibly gifted.
Yeah.
I'm just not a linebacker in the top 10 kind of guy. It's not my thing.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But keep an eye on what is happening at Carolina. They are in love with Jaycee Horn, the cornerback from South Carolina. We've talked about in the Cowboys room there was a split with the coaches. And I mentioned this last Friday too. Keep an eye on what's going on with the Diggs thing because that situation might lead them to where the scouts are saying, listen, we need to get the most sure type player here. The guy that that has the less risk to him. You seeing that?
I get what you're saying. That Patrick Surtain is considered an incredibly clean prospect. Everything about him.
Bingo.
Character.
Yes. Yeah.
No big weaknesses. Just very safe.
Yeah.
But I think on a football field, I want Jaycee Horn on my defense so bad.
Every day.
I think it's contagious.
Every day.
I think that sort of hyper-competitive, physical, it makes other people play that way.
No, you're right about that player. You're right about that guy.
So Carolina, leave him alone.
Yep.
But, again, there's two sides to all of these. Carolina is the team that I kept thinking Northwestern offensive lineman Rashawn Slater.
Yeah.
Carolina. Perfect fit.
Yeah.
And if they take Jaycee Horn, means they didn't take Slater. So no matter what happens, there's going to be a player or two at 10 that you go, oh, okay, that works.
Yeah.
We'll be okay here.
I agree with you on that. Okay, NFL.com, guys, did a story. Well, they actually had their analysts say they asked which prospect might not be selected in the first round, but should be.
Okay.
Do you have anybody in mind you'd like to talk about first before I'll let you throw your first guy out there if you'd like to talk about somebody?
This morning on the draft show on DallasCowboys.com, I ended up drawing Baltimore. I got to make their pick at 27 and at 31.
Fun team to pick for.
I can draft
all the good
Baltimore.
Players were there.
Yes. Ozzie Newsome and I, we're the same guy.
Oh, you love Ozzie.
And the two guys that I gave them were Boogie Basham from Wake Forest, who's a defensive end, because he plays like a Baltimore guy.
Sure.
And at 31, I gave him Nick Bolton, the Missouri linebacker, who is, quote, small and, quote, unathletic.
Yeah.
But he's a Baltimore guy. He's a tone setter. He makes plays all over the place. He's super smart. So those would be a couple of candidates from me, Boogie Basham, Nick Bolton. And when I say those names as a Cowboy fan, what you can hear is those are guys I'd love at 44. If you can get them there, I like them.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they're outstanding. Both of them are outstanding players. I would love it. My dream scenario is Horn at 10 and Bolton at 44. That's my dream scenario. Okay, Mark Ross, who was a first-year scout with me in Philadelphia, they asked him about that, but he's now working the NFL Network. He said Melifonwu the cornerback from
Syracuse.
He says, I believe the defensive backs have the deepest talent pool of any position in this draft, with around 10 starting quality prospects. Not all these players can go in the first round, so a chunk of worthy guys will fall to day 2. He says Melifonwu is a gifted athlete with excellent press coverage skills. All right, now the reason I bring up Melifonwu here in this is if you do take an offensive player at, say you take an offensive player at 10.
Right.
That's the type of guy you're looking at, right? At corner?
Yeah.
Aren't you looking at a Melifonwu and those guys?
Yeah, and I agree with his assessment of the defensive back class. I think in this particular draft, I think I have 8 corners and like 4 safeties, so 12 guys that I think are second-round guys, and Melifonwu is one of those. So if you don't get a corner at the top, it's not the end of the world, but you also need to know corners are a hot commodity.
Yeah.
So, there's a chance that at 44, you have lost 7 corners. It could happen, but there are a lot of good ones.
I've got them stacked in there.
Club sandwiches, baby.
Sandwiches, Farley, Newsome, Samuel, Joseph, Stokes,
ham,
Molden,
turkey, bacon,
Campbell, Robinson. My gosh. Don't worry about it. If you pick an offensive player at 10, you'll get you a corner.
Mm-hmm.
How about this one? Joe Thomas.